trying to ask loaded questions on things that I've already answered, and you are doing so in such a gay tone of voice.
I'm calling out Satan. Roxy, you fucking whore.
Advice be like a crazy bitch in her 30s who's on methadone and totally just whacked out?
My advice, and I've said it many times, I will say it again because it applies even more here. My advice is full insemination.
Broken by my master, teach thee a way of thereafter, and to that again. Same old trip it was back then, so I made a big mistake. Happened to the back of the cat. I used to believe in a thing called love. Thank you, Gamer. Gamer's here. Those times are over. So desertion. Fight the notion. Stand near Christmas, people. Into a thought again. Single trip it was back then. So I made a big mistake. Would you rather see it walk my way? Chat, would you ever see Once My Way? I know I made a big mistake. We're going to talk about it. But we've had some big wins. Let's not forget. Let's go into the flood again, people. Into the flood again. Back then. So I made a big mistake. Would you rather see it once my way. Am I wrong? Have I turned too far to go home? Oh, am I there to am alone? Am I wrong? Have I gone too far to go home? Am I wrong? Too far to go. If I could, would you? I'm feeling like a silly bitch this Celebrity Sunday. That's okay. Don't give me an aneurysm, people. Let me just get comfortable. You know the drill. Same old fucking drill. Hi. Hopefully everything's coming in loud and clear. And welcome to season 2, episode 13 of Celebrity Sunday. Feels all right. We've got Ryder back after a long hiatus. No, not the blanket. Yeah, and we ain't talking Lowe's Customs, okay? But we're going to get into that. It's true. What's up, people? Hi, Evan, Anita, Melanie, Stinky Brew. Welcome, everyone. And yeah, there's a lot to get into. Let's see what lighting actually is the best. Should I just do normal? All right. Anyway, I forgot to turn off the green screen thing. I've been having a little fun with that. But yeah, it's been a long fucking week, people. In Rubyland. It's been very eventful. Hi, Ivixie. Actually, yes, I was watching Ivixie yesterday, and now you're seeing in live action Ivixie them doing the Voldemorting. They're doing that to Rostov right now. So I will be covering a little bit of that because I do find it interesting. I always thought it was interesting the way that Rostov went from just like a random Discord mod to being the host of a show that once made $60,000 a month. But Keem's ego got the best of him, and he felt that he could just pick anyone, and all they had to do to be a star was just be completely loyal and malleable by Keemstar into whatever he wants. We talked about the electric blanket? Yes. Yeah, a lot of people had questions about that. Hey, what's up, Wax Boss? We get custody of... So the blanket, the famous blanket is... It's an electric blanket that Dalmatian Dog brought here on his last visit, which ended poorly, as every visit has. And I did not think I'd ever interact with him or, speak to him again. I was obviously in my higher level thinking that I struggle to access sometimes, but yeah, I did not think we'd ever interact again. So I just threw out anything reminding me of him. A lot of people do that when they break up. And I thought it was odd how he had this whole, the level of freak out he had for me, throwing his electric blanket out was always odd to me. Because I was like, dude, I'll just get you another, I'll replace it. But he was mourning this loss. And anyone who's watched his streams saw that he would talk about it often. But yeah, it's gotten a little scary. But I do hope the best for D-Dog. And I don't want to trash him. I don't be mean to him. I want it to all be nice. It's just all be nice. I did end up getting Bud Light because it's been a long week. And we had some big victories on court and Monday. That was a huge success. I'm very happy with that outcome. And it's officially closing another chapter behind me. So we have the internet in front of us, people, and we can go anywhere we want. What's up, Stinky Bro? He killed his best friend. I mean, it sounds like a joke. It sounds crazy. It sounds like I can hardly believe the words that come out of my mouth when I'm talking about my life. It's crazy. But yes, that's another feature of my reality was. Yeah, the blanket took out a hit on me, apparently.
because we were talking about objects, how like material objects having feelings, and his communications with them, and yeah, that was what I like how the green screen takes the hat and headband. Yeah, I've been having fun playing with the effects of that. Like earlier, I was using a green light, so I was like barely, kind of poking in and out just to try something different. Still to face the criminal charge. Yeah, that's true. I do have another court date, and it's for breach of peace. So I anticipate probably some kind of maybe community service. But that's if the charges don't get dropped based on more evidence that's come out during the restraining order case that pertains to this. So we'll see what the judge says. Justice for blanket. Did the blanket sit in the corner as you made him? Lawyers were smart to continue until you had to protect what. I mean, fortunately, I've had a lawyer, helping me and guiding me through this situation. And obviously that's been very helpful to navigate. You can't just use Grok for everything. That's a very stupid way to live, but that's kind of what we expect from that camp. I'll send you some money if you go to jail. Thank you. I appreciate that. Getting an RO is not a flex. I don't know if this is like a flexing session. I mean, I suppose it is in that like they were trying to flex that it was going to be this total, thing that's not going to go through and la-di-da, and it did. So it's a win for me in that now I can at least feel safe moving around my city and not being like stalked by fucking weirdo people for at least the next 6 months. And hopefully by then they'll find a new shiny object or person to latch onto, So hopefully this will be like a cooling off period and they can just go elsewhere. It's kind of the idea. But in other insane news, I've been looking into Nick Reiner, who's the son of Rob Reiner, who was famous actor and fairly well connected in Hollywood. And both of you lost. Get real, Ruby. Well, I don't really think it's what I want to do online to like hitch my basket to like a weird psychotic abusive incest situation. Like I'm happy to move on from that. And it's true, I get that from a viewer perspective, that tension and drama was entertaining, but it was to the detriment of my mental health and life. And I am trying to get my life in order. And that's my highest priority. I enjoy YouTube, and I've been fortunate enough that it's become somewhat lucrative for me, but at the end of the day, I'm going to prioritize what's best for me in my real life and my family. And yeah, that's just the way it had to be, unfortunately, because some people lack social skills and they need like they need all this to kind of buzz off, I guess. It is what it is. Ryder, where have you been? Okay, that's what the people really want to know. All right. That incident was so embarrassing for both of you. I'd say it was lost. I mean, yeah, of course it was. Yeah. It was obviously a situation that I wish never happened. And now forever, that's going to be a video attached to my name. But at the same time, the way that I live my life is very candid and forthcoming. So I don't anticipate a time wherever I'm going to be like trying to like hide my past. Generally, I just own it and try to reflect and grow from it as much as I can, while often failing. Proud of you escaping D-Dog with your life. He could have unalived you. It's not a joke. I'm serious. Good for you, Ruby. I mean, I never felt like he was going to physically attack me, but I did have to threaten to call the police a couple times at a certain point. And it's a little unnerving, just the psychology that's happening. And yeah, I don't know what's fucking wrong with me that I'm like, don't have the willpower to fully end these situations. I don't think people understand how they caused you more stress than D-Dog. That too, yeah. Yeah, a lot of it was like, I mean, this was only the third time we had ever even interacted in person. Okay, people. And it was a very short visit. And yeah. Walking up and down the earth, observing the works of humans. What's up, Patricia? Anyway, I do feel kind of low energy, low vibe today. So I'm going to go into my playlist and see what I have to react to, but it's been a long week with some good outcomes, some bad outcomes, but overall, just another shit show week when we're trying to be the normalcy project. So that's why we put on the clown paint. Okay. Don't beat yourself up. You did good getting him to leave. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what I ideally didn't want any of this to further be an online spectacle, because that just exasperated the whole situation times a million and almost made us kind of like us against everyone else, which kind of further enmeshes people. But I get why people express concerns. Obviously, it's very on brand for me to make bad choices. I wish, yeah. Can I still post my pet picture on Twitter? Oh yeah, of course I have XC. Yeah, I can pull it up during the pet segment. Boogies and Axeman. What's up, Stevie? How's it going? But yeah, I made a little playlist of videos to react to. We've got some cute pet pictures. And I'll probably drop the link early just to see, to be interactive. The hair looks great. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, also I wanted to cover obviously the ongoing Candace situation. That's like the one story I've been following for a few weeks now, and it just keeps unfolding into something weirder and weirder. But she did a whole video against Ben Shapiro, who she used to work for at the Daily Wire, and they left not an excellent terms. So it's been this kind of like feud simmering beneath the surface for a while with like vague shots back and forth, but it's like mask off, they're just firing straight shots at each other. Her whole segment was called like Little Benny's Revenge, and the way Candace talks about it, honestly, she's projecting a lot of malice on situations that could be benign. It is what it seemed like to me. Like, I don't know, but we can watch that video. I'm curious to see what you guys say. I'm also curious as like a broader topic of the day. I'm curious what people think about the Nick Reiner situation, and someone using insanity as a defense. What does that really mean? What does that really absolve? Where's the line for accountability when people who are very like fucked up in the head? It's a topic that's always perplexed me as someone who's struggled in that department. So, where's my playlist? Where is it? Here we go. Wait, just kidding. Latest.
You really could be imagining. Now, for me,
all right. So yeah, there's a whole bunch of clips in here. We also had the more Epstein files released, but I mean, it's like, yeah. I was a little surprised to see Noam Chomsky there, but aside from that, it was fairly what we thought it would be. So, where to start? I was also working on a rap song to summarize the week, but I lost energy. Honestly, I felt like just lying in bed all day. That's what my instinct was, to just lie in bed all day. It's like, it's just been a stressful long week. And obviously that visit was incredibly draining and scary at points. It's just been a lot. That's why I was kind of laying low. He went off at her first TPUSA. Really? Wait, Ben Shapiro and Nick, Candace? The Nick Reiners stuff is interesting. I agree. I mean, he seems unwell, and I think it's interesting that like there's things we're starting to pick up as people like learn more about him. And one of the things they picked up is it seems like he really struggled with living in like the shadow of his father's name, because there was like this podcast he used to call in for like recovering addicts called like Dopey, and he was like a reoccurring person there until the host asked him to invite his dad on, and he just like ghosted the whole show. So thoughts on channels being striked? Your name comes up as the source a lot. No, that's never really been my MO, so I have no idea. No, I don't go for like, I think it's fine if people commentate on me. Yeah, I don't even know what channel was striked. ddogs? I know ddog had a strike. But I was like, dude, that could have been like a million things, because he was like, oh, it was like the CIA. And I was like, I don't know, maybe it was the suicidal you know, implications and a million other things. Stop excusing me. Yeah, I don't. Well, I guess I'd have to learn more, but no, I'm not on any kind of like Jeremy and King. Who's pulling my name into the mix for that? That's ridiculous. Yeah, I remember Jeremy also was accusing me of calling his hotel. It's like, I have no record online of ever doing shit like that. And I don't plan on it because it's bad form. It's like broadly unethical. And it ultimately tends to just bite you in the ass. So, like, what is this? Just based off of like anyone who's ever disliked me at some point is a suspect, I guess. But wow. Wait, so T-Dog, Jeremy, King were all striked this week. Very interesting. Prawn and his Discord goons are going to go on later. Great. Yeah, I'd love to hear from Prawn. I'll probably drop the link in the fairly near future. New bombshells. Reiner. What drove Nick Reiner? I'm curious. Wait, this might not have any visual for it. 7 red flags.
I don't even care if anyone.
Oh, also, he has some rapping. He had some rapping moments, a little freestyle action. So, Jeremy and King also, I defended you on this one. I appreciate that. I mean, all I can really say to my defense is that like I've never done anything like that. I've never been known to do anything like that. So striking people that commentate on others' videos is weasel behavior. Yeah, I don't even really know how they could be struck because most of those channels don't even really rely on like replaying content, and you can't just strike someone for talking about you. I don't think all of the boy incels got strikes. I guess so. I guess it's just that time. Wrapping for Christmas, that time of year. Ruby's stressed out, so she grabs a fucking beer, crying out tears like she's a fucking clown. Should have told him to buzz off when he came to my fucking town. The blanket set to kill. Looking for a thrill. What? Anyway.
One calls me a Sally because I'm a snail and I'm never gonna fail. And you know what? You're gonna have to bail me out of jail.
Yes.
That is Nick Reiner in a bizarre video that it appears.
Yes to the freestyling. No to the murder.
Everyone wants to know how you get your exercise in because you're so lean.
Because you're so lean. It's eating all those greens. Kind of like lima bean machine.
Usually I only do one at a time.
What this video may tell us about the odd behavior of a man who struggled with addiction and is now accused of using a knife to kill his parents in a brutal double murder. We're on the case.
Speaking of knife, I did hide my knives. I don't know if that, I don't know. What a bizarre, I don't know what's wrong with me that I make these choices. I didn't want to involve anything of streaming into it until he decided to pop off live the second he was driving away from my house. Like, I did not want to add that other element to it because it's already just taken over enough of, you know, the situation.
It's presented by Law and Crime. I'm Chris Stewart.
I mean, he reminds me of like people I know in some ways. This video feels fake. Like Nick was performing. I mean, he was performing for the camera and like perhaps being aware that he was kind of like being silly, but please don't try to date Nick now. I mean, if he hadn't have gone that direction, yeah, it's like I clearly relate to the mentally ill. Peer-to-peer, baby.
Hey, before we get into the latest on this case, I want to talk about one of the biggest partners and sponsors for On the Case, which is one of the most watched shows on YouTube. It's America's largest personal injury law firm, Morgan & Morgan, a firm with more than 1,000 attorneys who have recovered $25 billion for more than 500,000 clients. In the past few months alone, a client in Florida received $12 million when insurance offered just $350,000. Show you some really odd clips here in just a moment. Now, this video is 6 minutes and 34 seconds long. It's titled David. It's the only video posted to an account with Nick's name.
This is one of my favorite reads when I'm sitting on by the campfire or like relaxing in Malibu.
In this video, you hear Nick talking in this really odd voice. And the video is not only odd, it's somewhat chilling and disturbing when you think of what he is now accused of doing to his own parents. His parents, of course, Hollywood legend Rob Reiner, the director and actor known for putting together films like When Harry Met Sally and A Few Good Men, and Rob's longtime wife, Nick's mom, Michelle Reiner, both of them found dead in their mansion in the ritzy Brentwood section of Los Angeles. Now, big update that came in from TMZ today has to do with the mental health of Nick Reiner. The outlet claims that Nick Reiner was diagnosed with schizophrenia in the weeks leading up to Rob and Michelle Reiner's murders. The outlet also cites a source claiming that the meds were making Nick erratic and dangerous.
So I can speak from personal experience and observing people. Antipsychotics are no joke. And they can really help people manage their symptoms and function better throughout the world without being debilitated. But, oh, holy shit, the side effects are no joke. I gained 50 pounds from Seroquel, and I had taken other antipsychotics. I don't think I ever really needed them. I think my psychosis was very much sleep deprived and fentanyl withdrawal related, but I was prescribed a bunch of shit when I was at the psych ward that made me fat and miserable and psychotic, more so than I was already. Hey, gamer.
Hello.
How's it going?
Yeah, it's going all right.
Nice. Yeah, I'm just learning more about this the Rob Reiner, Nick Reiner case. I don't know if you've been following it, but this guy, he was like a well-connected, fairly famous actor, and his son had been struggling with mental health issues, had been like, they went to Conan O'Brien's like annual holiday party, and he was acting totally insane to everyone. And then last Sunday, his parents were both found stabbed in their bed.
And who do you reckon was responsible for his parents' death?
Well, they arrested him, and as far as I know, they're not like they're not saying he didn't do it. I think it's kind of like he definitely did it situation is what it's looking like. But
oh, so they have like, what evidence have they found that connects him to the murders?
I think he might have admitted, but I'm still learning about the case. If anyone in chat knows, let us know. But yeah, we can keep watching this and see what's up.
A key part.
DNA evidence on their bodies, or DNA evidence on the murder weapon, or whatever.
Oh, I know what happened. He was found in a hotel. Now I'm remembering. He was in a hotel. He had taken a hotel room out, and the bathtub was like filled with blood. So he had like gone to a hotel to like get cleaned up and left like a bunch of evidence there. So I think it was kind of obvious. Rob Reiner was primarily a director. Yeah, he was involved heavily in Hollywood as an actor and as a director. But I'm not very familiar with him, but the case did seem interesting to me because you have mental illness, you have failed treatment, you have dual diagnosis, you have severe drug abuse with mental illness, and then you have to kind of untangle all of that to find out what level of accountability this person has, you know?
Also, there's got to be motive as well.
Yes. So they're trying to kind of
motive for why you would want to kill him.
Oh yeah, and also there's some forums where people are speculating that he used to post in under this name Starchild, and in it he details like, you know, child sex abuse and like ritual satanic abuse that a lot of people speculate happens in Hollywood, and which I believe, and there's been enough testimonies, enough smoke to see that something's going on. So
hey, what's up?
Chilling. At least
yeah, he did get Spinal Tap 2 out in time, but this whole thing's like crazy because they previously got into a shouting match at a Christmas party at Conan O'Brien's house.
Yeah.
This guy, the son, went off on like Bill Hader of all people. Like,
yeah. Apparently, he was like walking up to people at the Christmas party and just asking them if they're famous and like being very socially bizarre. And it's so, yeah, you wonder, was it the drugs, or was it mental illness, or sometimes
I
people have mental illness induced by drugs?
Or
Like,
it could be demons talking in his head.
well, okay, hold on. I think he had some type of like hyperactive behavior when he was a kid because they interviewed like their parents' yoga teacher from like years ago, and they said as a kid he was kind of like just out there a little bit. But
yeah,
I think the drugs might have. I mean, I don't know. I'm not like a complete expert or a doctor on this, but
yeah, maybe his blanket told him to do it. I don't know.
Oh,
Well,
his blanket. Eh?
but it's just it's unreal because like Rob directed a lot of stuff I watched growing up, like Princess Bride.
oh, okay.
Yeah, he's one of those directors you don't realize he directed that movie because all his movies are different. Like Stand by Me.
Oh, really?
Uh,
Oh, I
yeah,
didn't know
he
he
did
worked those. I didn't.
obviously Spinal Tap, When Harry Met Sally,
Oh. My
A
mom
Few
was
Good
like so
Men.
excited to see the second Spinal Tap. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know
No,
he directed those.
genius movie. I never saw the second one,
Yeah.
but yeah. Oh yeah, his mom, that movie When Harry Met Sally, when she's like faking the orgasm in the restaurant, the old lady that goes, "I'll have what she's having." That's Rob's mom, I think.
Oh, really?
Because yeah, Rob's dad, Carl Reiner, was like a famous like writer and producer, director. Like he was behind the Dick Van Dyke Show. Him and like Mel Brooks like teamed up together a lot.
Huh.
So yeah, there's a lot of history kind of within this family.
Interesting.
Understanding Nick Reiner is that
Someone in chat was saying that this is propaganda from the defense team. If that's so, they're doing a great job. I mean, but it seems like there are instances. This isn't just like he's randomly claiming insanity. It does seem like there was evidence of him consistently kind of being unhinged and acting insane. So I believe he's a mentally ill person, but I don't know what that means for like accountability and punishment, what's suitable or
Yeah.
productive, or what makes the victim
It
feel
was
better.
his younger sister, their daughter, is the one that found the parents, and she's the one that told the authorities that he might have done it.
Oh, God, that's horrible. I can only imagine finding both of your parents murdered. Jesus Christ.
this is someone in his 32 years of life faced a lot of challenges, fought a lot of demons, especially addiction. Nick first went to rehab when he was just 15 years old. He told People magazine in 2016 that he also went back to rehab more than a dozen times by the age of 18. And he spent time homeless in Maine, New Jersey, and Texas. In his mid-20s, which would be around the time that he posted that odd YouTube video, it appears that he was trying a career in his dad's line of work, show business. In 2016, a movie titled Being Charlie was released. This was a movie that Nick wrote and his legendary dad directed. The film was loosely based on Nick's life. It follows a character who struggles with heroin addiction and homelessness.
If your kid is going through rough times, the parent your main job is to keep your child safe. So
this is an interview that Rob and
Oh,
Nick
that's
did
right. He did
together
direct Misery.
during a
I forgot that. See, that's the thing. Like I said, you don't realize he directed something because all his work was different. But yeah, that got is it Kathy Bates? I think that got her an Oscar.
Oh.
That's a classic one.
press tour for that movie Being Charlie. And this was just a clip from AOL's Build series that is posted publicly on YouTube. It is getting a lot of attention because of what they talk about. Nick and Rob go on about what doing a movie together meant to their relationship.
I think the bonding came not from the story itself, but from the fact that we were working on a movie together.
Now, through Being Charlie, you just get the sense that Rob Reiner really loved his son. And one of the most tragic parts of this story, beyond, of course, the loss of life inside of this home, the loss of a titan of Hollywood, is that it doesn't appear that the Reiners ever gave up on their son, Nick. And they were there for him to the sad, sad end. Rob and Michelle Reiner wanted Nick to be with them the night before he allegedly took their lives. There's been a lot of talk about this holiday party that was at.
Prawn is having a struggle session with that 44 dynamic guy in his server. Ruby, you might want to give him a talking to. Give him the link. Tell him to come here. I'd happily host a struggle session between them as a neutral party. Well, Rudy sure does seem really interested in our own show. I was going to chat so I could pin the link to StreamYard so I don't have to worry about posting it again. So, but yeah,
Is
I
it
was in the
pinned?
chat of my own show, watching my own show as I'm in my own show. So yes, I'm super into it. Yes.
Oh, it's pinned.
Yeah, I just repinned the pinned message that was already there. So
at Conan O'Brien's house the night before the Reiners were found dead. And there's this article that the Hollywood Reporter put together that I think is really important because it talks about some of the dynamics surrounding this party and what led to a apparently very public argument, a loud argument that Nick and Rob had at Conan's house in the hours before Nick allegedly killed Rob and Michelle. Now, Nick wasn't invited to this party at Conan's house, but Rob and Michelle were invited, and they asked Conan if it would be okay for their son to tag along, and Conan reportedly said that would be okay. It does appear, though, that things got awkward and disturbing pretty fast at this party because Nick was reportedly described as acting erratic. It was described that he was wandering around this party.
here's a question for chat. Knowing that he did it, knowing that he does have some mental health issues, what do you think an appropriate punishment would be? What do you think like an appropriate public response to that kind of behavior should be? I'm very curious.
Interrupting conversations. I mean, conversations among some pretty big names in Hollywood. And the Hollywood Reporter says that Nick was actually going up to people at this party and asking to know if they were famous, kind of demanding to know who they were. Nick was acting so odd. Apparently, there were people at this party who had wondered if he was someone who
So
just
that
wandered
struggle
in
session
off
that
the
Prawn
street.
and 44 are having right now, Prawn's not even live, so I don't know what's
I'm gonna
going
go
on.
live so I can restream it or hit the link. Hit the link.
But in fact, he was the son of one of the most notable people at this party, Rob Reiner. Now, this is part of that story that I want to read for you because it really stood out to me. One of the people who Nick allegedly talked to at this party, demanding to know who they were and if they were famous, is actor, comedian, and former SNL star Bill Hader.
You know, it's weird, like, looking at this, like, they look similar. And they each
Bill
had, like,
Hader.
similar, yeah, Bill Hader and Nick Reiner, they kind of looked similar. Like, when I saw headlines, I was like, are they also related? Like,
What if that's what set him off?
who knows, dude? Because it's like, if you're not, in reality, you're not reading cues correctly. It's one of the issues I had with D-Dog is he could not read cues correctly, but it was very confident in his, like, false perception. And that can lead to all kinds of crazy outcomes.
The Hollywood
I don't know
Reporter
how
writes,
you can like get mad or go off on Bill Hader of all people. Like,
I know. Yeah, I wonder what that was like.
Hader calmly responded to Nick that he was engaged in a private conversation. This is according to someone with knowledge of the situation. Nick glared at him for what felt like an uncomfortable amount of time. That really just paints a picture of how Nick was possibly acting in the hours surrounding the time that police say he killed his parents. Now, the loud argument that has made a lot of headlines between Nick and his dad at this party was allegedly over Rob confronting Nick about just how rude and bizarre.
Yeah, because it's interesting. Like, maybe he thought, because it's like, yeah, he was lucid enough to know what he was doing. That's kind of like the central question. But it's just, that's so hard to determine. And then it's like, what are the outcome options here? I know right now he's in solitary confinement. You know, I don't know if
he was just he was
recent.
recently diagnosed as schizophrenic, and he's on medication now.
Oh, and the medication changed. That could.
And I don't have. I worked with one person that had like bipolar schizophrenia and stuff, but I'm not like. I don't know. Like this guy, he would be like nice, and then out of nowhere, he would just be like start yelling and stuff and kick people off of his table, and yeah. But the guy was always nice to me, but I never like worked directly with him that much. But
his son was reportedly acting at this party, in a party being attended by so many big names, so many friends of his parents. Now you hear that alleged account of what happened at the party, and then you watch this YouTube video, which yes, it's from roughly a decade ago, 9 years ago, but you still can somewhat tell how Nick acted and just how bizarre his behavior could be. Take a look.
And I don't even care if anyone calls me a Sally because I'm a snail and I never gonna fail. And you know,
I hope that there's never a day when people are looking back on me and going through, you know, in like some serious situation, going through all my old rap videos, like, look at how she behaved even years ago. We could see.
you know what? You're gonna have to bail me out of jail.
So it's unclear what the purpose of this video was. It is possible that Nick maybe was trying to get into acting and he was just putting something together to show people in the business. It is, again, the only video that is posted to this YouTube account. Watch this part.
I ain't gonna tell you my first and last name. Most people know me as David.
We're wondering what.
How long this interview is gonna be?
Now, in the video, he says his name is David. That's the name of the video as well.
That's
just talking that odd voice. He's walking around what appears.
Thank you, Princess, for the 1999 to say Merry Christmas. We were actually just talking about you. We heard you were having a struggle session with
the 44 dynamic.
44 dynamic. So if you would like to continue that, we would happily host you to have that struggle session. They're gonna see Ruby spinning bars, maybe.
This random freestyle stuff, that's just like stuff that like my friends would like start doing when we all got high. And
yeah, right. So it's like, yeah, it's hard to tell that this video, like a goof video, is representative of mental illness or just like, yeah, like smoking weed with friends and just acting crazy. Thank you, Princess, for the $9.99 too. Bada bing, bada boom. The rapping is uncannily similar. Yeah, it's called watching a like bipolar schizophrenic person rap. Okay, there's a flavor.
To be his parents' neighborhood while wearing sunglasses and a red hat.
No introduction.
Schizophrenia. It's a
From the cul-de-sac, of course. She has a boyfriend now who's in the military. He's actually dead. She's dying not right. She moved to Patagonia. What was it? I'm gonna go kill that.
Now, it doesn't appear that Nick did much professionally after the movie Being Charlie that his dad directed. His IMDb page lists Being Charlie as his only movie. And then there's some podcasts and shows that he appeared on, which appears to be roughly around the time that he did Being Charlie.
Why do you like so much?
Mainly because when I'm done drinking it, I can go in my room and squirt lotion in it and then use it to stick my. They were like practically just the whole time.
Yeah, it's just an incredibly disturbing behavior for someone who reportedly was spiraling for a long time and continuing to fight addiction and potentially find his place in the world. There's also a report that came out from the Daily Mail that is claiming that Rob Reiner confided in someone at Conan's party that not only was his son maybe acting odd and rude, but that Rob was potentially scared of Nick. According to the Daily Mail, Rob Reiner said at the party, quote, as one of the gathered A-listers told it, minutes after Nick stormed out, Rob became emotional, going over to a group of friends and saying, quote, I'm petrified of him. I can't believe I'm going to say this, but I'm afraid of my son. I think my own son can hurt me. Now,
wow. That's a crazy thing to say so close to his death. So, yeah, I don't know what that means. What does that indicate for the case? You know, that they were already suspicious of him being violent, like scary situation.
I don't know if it's gonna be mentioned in this video or not, because I've seen some videos on this channel, but like I think he might still inherit some stuff out of the will, and that might be used towards his defense or some case. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what I heard, but
Oh wow, yeah. I wonder how that would play out with like the will.
I'm almost positive like the daughter is gonna probably like be fighting tooth and nail. Because she's the one that, if I remember right, told the authorities that named him.
Dude, I can't imagine the position she's in or what her feelings on it are. Because, yeah, those are her parents, but yeah, that's her brother. So I'm curious to see what her response is going to be.
again, that's just from the Daily Mail. It has not been confirmed that this was actually said, but it is notable when you consider what happened allegedly hours later. And when we talk about the sibling of Nick, his sister, who reportedly found, according to TMZ, her parents inside the home, Romy Reiner allegedly told police that Nick could be violent and that he's someone that police should look at. So there's something more going on than just the battles of addiction. There was potential violent behavior beforehand, according to these news reports. Now, we are still waiting on an official time of death for the Reiners. Now, this is the rough timeline, though, of what potentially happened. Police have not yet said officially when the Reiners were killed, but it obviously happened at some point after this party and perhaps before 4 o'clock in the morning. I say that time because media outlets are reporting that Nick checked
King
into a hotel
Dynamic
in
is
Santa
here
Monica,
now.
about 4 miles from his
Hit the
parents'
link, it's
house with a
pinned.
credit card. Staff the next day went into the room where he was staying, and they made an incredibly disturbing find. They say not only were bed sheets covering the
Yeah, get
windows,
up on
but
your
there was a
44
lot
and
of blood
pull me
in that
first.
room, specifically
See what
in the
this struggle
shower. Now,
session
the
is about.
Reiners weren't found until 3:30 Sunday afternoon. According to KTLA, the couple was found dead in their bed. They had been stabbed multiple times, according to the medical examiner in Los Angeles. A massage therapist reportedly could not get in touch with the Reiners, so it was their daughter, Romy, who lived across the street, who went into the home, this is according to People, and discovered what had happened. She apparently only saw her dad, and she didn't know that her mom was also dead, and it was first responders who had to tell her that later. Now, when the bodies were discovered, Nick was nowhere to be found, and that's when Romy, apparently, according to TMZ, told police that she was aware that her brother had issues, and she suggested that police try to find him because he has the ability to be dangerous. And this is video of Nick Reiner at a gas station near the campus of the University of Southern California. This is in the area of Exposition Park. So we're talking roughly 15 miles inland from his parents' home in LA. And this was right before he was arrested by the LAPD. NBC Los Angeles was the first outlet to get this video. And you can see Reiner wearing a jacket and a hat. He also has a red backpack. And it appears he goes in and he buys a Gatorade. And then he walks across the street. And that is when the LAPD pulls up, lights and sirens, and they put him under arrest. Then you have days later, the Los Angeles district attorney, after so much speculation from media outlets, announcing the charges that Nick is.
I actually, in a way, think that's to someone's detriment. It wires them incorrectly to be entitled for life. Like, I don't know, if I would change my background or certain things, because that's, if you've never really struggled or faced adversity or know the worth of a dollar, it can make you totally ill-equipped to cope with the world. And a lot of suffering is relative. So the most miserable people in the world are often have everything, and they're not, the things that actually make people happy have nothing to do with that. But it's also, it is crazy that someone would blow all of that opportunity. And
it's also like he's been in and out of rehab, I think 17 times, or it's like a ridiculous amount.
And it didn't help, and that's says something too, that all the money and resources in the world can't cure you of addiction, or mental illness, or there just isn't, like, a lot of the treatment is, in my experience, it leaves a lot to be desired.
I'm wondering, because I like I said, I don't know much about the guy or what his upbringing, but actually, no, there's another kid I kind of went to school with. He was a few years young. He was in my younger brother's grade. He was actually all normal. Then he just, one night, I guess, at whatever college he was at, he just kind of snapped. And I don't know if he's schizophrenic also, but he is not the same. But
wow. What did he do when he snapped? Did he hurt someone, or did he just
Oh man. From what I remember, one of the guys that was there, his buddies that was there when it happened, I don't know if he smashed a window or something. I'm probably getting this wrong, but he did something.
Yeah.
Something just triggered. And he would post unhinged stuff on Facebook, random freestyles, type them out and stuff.
Sounds like my internet presence.
Now facing.
I would see him even post his episode, and he was always he never came off as dangerous or anything, but he was there was something off. He was not the same person I knew when he was a kid, though. But some people, it's and I remember talking with my other friend who was in his grade with that. He's like, yeah, I feel like you get to a certain age, and some people something just hits and they don't go back to it, or
yeah, Yeah, I mean, it often develops kind of later in life, schizophrenia, or it can worsen later in life.
Yeah,
Like my
like they're
close
basically
brother
yeah.
was like a Yale graduate, and then he descended into schizophrenia and is now homeless. But so it can really, and then if you add in the drug use, my dad also ended up going to rehab
Yeah.
like 16 times, and eventually he did get his life into a better place. But yeah, it's crazy.
Something might have triggered it to
Mhm.
like it might have just been in that kid that I'm talking about, and then like somewhere in his early 20s, he just wasn't the same after that.
Yeah.
They did talk about the death penalty. It's important to note in California, there's been a moratorium on that since 2019, and no one has been put to death in the state of California since 2006. But it's notable that the DA threw that out
No
there.
one's
Nick
been
has
put
yet
to
to enter a
death
plea,
since
though, on those
2006.
charges. In court this
wow.
week, his
California.
high-powered attorney, Alan Jackson, very notable from the Karen Reed trial, he told the court that he needs more time before an official arraignment. Nick spoke 3 words when the judge asked him if he was waiving his right to a speedy trial. Here's that moment.
So he's getting a death penalty, is he?
Statutory right,
I'm not sure.
speedy arraignment. Your counsel's requesting that your arraignment be continued to January 7, 2026. Do you waive your right to a speedy arraignment so that your arraignment can be heard on January 7, 2026?
Quote, yes, Your Honor. The only words Nick said during that court hearing. He was taken back to the county jail where he is right now. The judge didn't allow media members to take pictures or video of Nick in court. We're told he sat in an enclosed area, but courtroom sketches show him wearing a blue vest that defendants do often wear so they don't harm themselves. Now, this is what Nick's attorney, Alan Jackson, said after court.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I just have a couple of quick words. First of all, and most importantly, this is a devastating tragedy that has befallen the Reiner family. We all recognize that. Our hearts go out to the entire Reiner family. There are very, very complex and serious issues that are associated with this case. These need to be thoroughly, but very carefully dealt with and examined and looked at and analyzed. We ask that process you allow the system to move forward in the way that it was designed to move forward, not with a rush to judgment, not with jumping to conclusions, but with restraint and with dignity and with the respect that this system and this process deserves and that the family deserves. So with that, we are set for January 7th for an arraignment. That's the next court date. And that's all I have to say at this point. There may be more at some other point, but today we're going to rest on where we stand procedurally, which is this was a continuance of arraignment. Nothing happened today substantively. We'll be back for an arraignment in the same department on the 7th of January. We'll see you then.
This is what Nick's 2 surviving siblings are now saying. Again, you think of his sister, who was the one who reportedly found her parents dead. This statement is per CBS News. Quote, words cannot even describe the unimaginable pain we are experiencing every moment of the day. The horrific and devastating loss of our parents, Rob and Michelle Reiner, is something that no one should ever experience. They weren't just our parents, they were our best friends. We are grateful for the outpouring of condolences, kindness, and support we have received, not only from family and friends, but people from all walks of life. We now ask for respect and privacy, for speculation to be tempered with compassion and humanity, for our parents to be remembered for the incredible lives they lived and the love they gave. You will notice in that statement, they do not mention their brother Nick. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about this investigation is Mike King, the host of Profiling Evil, also a retired police commander. Mike, I know you have a new podcast that's coming out early next year, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Thanks as always for being with us to talk about these cases. And for you as someone who's, killers and what can go into their minds. And in this case, Nick Reiner is accused of being one. What stands out to you about him thus far?
For me, Chris, because of the time of year, I've been really thinking a lot about the family dynamic and this kind of thing that we have inside, especially parents, to bring family members together, whether it's to capture that family photo at the perfect time or to maybe just create and have another good memory. And I think when I'm thinking about this case, I think about the risk that increases for family members, and I wonder how that will play out in the entire Reiner story. But for me personally, as I look at this case and I reflect back on other homicides that have occurred, especially during the holidays, I think about what were the precipitating factors that were involved. What was leading up to this thing? What caused allegedly a Nick Reiner to act out?
All right, this is like a long thing, but that kind of like summarized the basics of it. And then we also had the release of more Epstein files. Did you, Stevie and Gamer, did you guys follow any of that?
Oh my God, there's constant jokes about how like it's just a series of like redacted bars.
True. I heard there was
Like
yeah,
a lot of it's basically like a man carrying things. He does like comedy stuff, and it's like literally just all blocked out and just the name Bill Clinton shows.
Dude, yeah. a lot of
A lot of high up like government people are definitely protected. They've been tampered with.
What did you think about Noam Chomsky being in the jet and stuff?
I have known they were friends for a while.
Oh, I
Like
didn't know that.
this Epstein guy, like he was really good at brokering deals with getting interviews with certain people. Still, I would not ever be friends with that fucking guy.
Yeah.
And it's, I don't know. I learned a long time ago to like just not idolize people in general. It's just people are just fucked up.
Files were supposed to be released this past Friday, but of course the government continues to try to cover for Epstein's clients. So we only got reportedly 1% of the total files, and 80 to 90% of the documents and pictures they released were redacted or were publicly available already. So we probably got less than 0.1% of the Epstein files, but still this release had some disturbing stuff in it. And this proves there's a lot of evidence they have in their possession that they obviously don't want out there. So it must be really bad. You know, if this is what we're allowed to see.
Yeah, that shit right there. Look at all that.
So one of these documents that came out confirms one of Epstein's victims and the first whistleblower reported him to the FBI and NYPD in 1996 because Epstein sold pictures of her naked 12 and 16-year-old sisters to his friends and then threatened to burn down her house if she tells anybody. So the authorities were alerted about this in 96, but they did nothing, and Epstein continued to go on victimizing underage girls. And apparently he would even check girls' IDs to make sure that they were underage. Also, some of the pictures that were released that Epstein had framed in his house.
Oh yeah, they were trying to like traffic
on his
girls
private
out of
jet,
like
the Lolita
Bulgaria
Express.
and just places that were like poor, so they know they could exploit them more.
So horrible. Jody says
This is a classic
of PDF files 100%, and it is like a lot of blackmail. That's how a lot of things are run, via blackmail. It makes sense why he was able to get so much power doing this, by just blackmailing people and
blackmail, and it's also just like the overconfidence of assuming you're just above the law.
True.
Like
True.
this, like he documented so much
because he
like,
was working with the law, you know, so he was like, well, if I'm going down, everyone else is. So he probably felt like a lot of safety in that, you know. So crazy.
Which is a reference to a book Epstein was obsessed with about a pedophile who was attracted to a 12-year-old. And Epstein would write quotes from this book on his victims. And he also kept this really creepy scrapbook with pictures of them. And the quotes are talking about how little they are and how little they look. And some of this stuff is just so bizarre. I don't know how to describe it. But there's also this picture that was released where it looks like Epstein is dropping off a young girl to meet with some old guy with his shirt off. And they left him unredacted, surprisingly. And there's also this text message that was released by the House Oversight Committee that was part of the files where someone is talking about sending over girls and the price, and they give her measurements, height, and weight. It definitely sounds like trafficking. But if you remember, the director of the FBI, Kash Patel, said there's no credible evidence of trafficking in the files.
Oh, that dude, Kash Patel, that guy is a joke. That guy, he blunders so much. Like that guy has no business.
Yeah, it's
being in
obviously
the
there's
government.
trafficking like across state line, national lines.
This
Like,
guy was
what
like a
the fuck?
podcast host. Like he has no business being head of like the FBI.
Holy shit.
If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals.
And before he was at the FBI, he would talk about how the FBI needs to release all the files and prosecute the clients. But now that he's there, he's covering for them. And that's the same thing with a lot of people. Like, they have no credibility anymore, and they just want this to go away so badly because they obviously know how bad the files look. You know, they're so desperate and they just cannot shake it. And it seems like everything they do just makes things worse. First with the binder stunt, then Kash Patel on Rogan, then the DOJ memo concluding basically there are no files, and then Trump calling it a hoax. That's where people just lost it. So Trump's administration had to do damage control. You know, they started calling every influencer to beg them to stop talking about the files or to get them to do damage control. Like Alex Jones admitted he got a call. He said Trump's administration called him and asked him what it would take to get him to shut up about it. Then also Tim Dillon, he didn't just get a call, he got a free seafood dinner with JD Vance. So you could tell these people are just so desperate. They're trying to do anything they can to get people to slow
That is
down
correct,
and
Jake.
stop
He
talking
is
about the Epstein
Dan
files and stop pushing
Bongino
for the release.
basically
I
quit
had
over
dinner
this.
last week with the vice
Really?
president. He told me they do not have videos of any powerful person in a compromising position. That's the party line that they're going with.
And I can tell you a lot more. I mean, I've had the White House call up and be like, last week, what do you want?
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, you think I'm doing all this just to get something? I've never asked for anything. I want you to do what you were elected to do.
Yeah.
So it went from you're bad, we're gonna have our influencers attack you 2 weeks ago to what do you want?
Yeah. Well, they want it to go away. They want this to go away.
So they're clearly panicking over the fallout from that DOJ memo. You know, sending the vice president to meet with a comedian podcaster. Like, they must have been so worried about this. Also, it's ironic JD Vance wants this to go away because just a few years ago, he said, what possible interest would the U.S. government have in keeping the Epstein client secret? And if you're a journalist and you're not asking questions about this case, you should be ashamed of yourself. What purpose do you even serve? Maybe try doing your job once in a while. But of course, now he's done a complete 180 and he wants journalists to just shut up about it. And he's helping keep the files hidden. I wonder why. You know, he's trying to protect the clients, I guess. But even with all the damage control they're doing, it doesn't seem to be working. I mean, it seems like they're trying to release just enough to make people happy, but it only seems to make things worse. Like, I think with this recent files drop, they're hoping the pictures of Bill Clinton would placate Trump's base and maybe get Democrats to shut up. You know, because of course there are a bunch of pictures of him in the release, as expected. I think everybody knows this guy's a creep, and most people want to see him prosecuted. But we know it'll probably never happen. We've been hearing this for such a long time. It's so funny. People are still like, oh shit, we caught Bill Clinton. This is it. It's over for him. But everybody knows this is going to lead to nothing. It's pathetic. I mean, we've been waiting for Pam Bondi to prosecute Epstein clients. And if Bill Clinton's one of them, and if he's a pedophile, then go after him. But of course,
I
it's never gonna
stand
happen
corrected.
because
Okay,
it's
so
one
he
big
does have
club
some
and Bill
credentials.
Clinton's in it. And I'm sure if he goes down, everyone goes down with him. Because if that weren't the case, I think they would have thrown him under the bus right away. It would have satisfied a lot of Trump's fans. And it seems like that might be kind of what they're trying to do now, but it's too little too late. And I don't think Pam Bondi will ever prosecute him. But they're clearly throwing these pictures out there to try to satisfy Trump fans for a little. You know, it's like just tossing out some breadcrumbs to try to keep people happy while they try to cover up everything else, including Bill Clinton's involvement. You know, they literally release these pictures so they don't have to release the more damning evidence. I mean, you'll see people post these pictures and act like, whoa, it's not looking good for Bill. Even the press secretary retweeted the picture and is like, oh my. But if you're disturbed by this, then demand for the full release of the files and prosecute the clients. It makes no sense to be like, oh my God, this picture's horrible, but the files are a hoax and we should move on from talking about them. Like, you can't have it both ways. You know, these people always go back and forth. First, they claim they're files, then there weren't files, then there were again, but they're a hoax. But now they're real and only a hoax when Trump's involved. I mean, it's so funny because people will be like, man, did you see that birthday letter Bill Clinton sent Epstein? That was really creepy. But the one that Trump sent him is totally normal. I didn't think anything of it. But it seems like they know Trump's involved, but they're just too closely associated with him to jump ship now. You know, they'd rather just help cover up a child sex trafficking ring. It's wild. So now if the files actually do come out, the collateral damage is going to be catastrophic. You know, it's going to destroy so many people's reputation, and it's already destroyed people's credibility, like Kash Patel and Pam Bondi. They're a complete joke. And Dan Bongino, he's stepping down at the FBI, which has gotten mixed reactions. But it'll be interesting to see if people still trust him, because before he was at the FBI, he kept telling everyone for years to stay focused on the Epstein files and continue to push for the release. But then once he got the position at the FBI, he just wanted people to move on from it. Also, now a lot of people even try to downplay Epstein's crimes. Like before this recent release a few months ago, Megyn Kelly said some wild shit. I think she got a call from the administration because she said she also
Oh,
has a source.
I remember
And
this.
she was acting like, is Epstein really a file? You know, I heard he just liked barely legal teen girls.
Oh,
And this person has told me
oh
from
my
the start,
God.
years and years ago, that Jeffrey Epstein, in this person's view, was not a pedophile. This is this person's view, who was there for a lot of this, but that he was into the barely legal type. Like he liked 15-year-old girls. We have yet to see anybody come forward and say, I was I was under 10. I was under 14 when I first came within his purview.
I don't know why anyone would try to make this point.
Whenever you're debating the semantics of pedophilia, you're in a rough spot there. Woo!
It's very close to those people being like, well, technically 15 isn't, but it's a pedophilia, or the other definition for
It's
like
bad.
it's still gross.
I mean, literally, the name of his plane is referencing a pedophile, and there were alleged victims as young as 11. And the girls in some of these pictures, you can't see their faces; they're blocked out, but they look really young. So, with all the information out there and knowing more is coming out, to try to make this point is wild. Like, she must have not thought this through at all. But maybe the recent file drop changed her mind. I mean, Epstein said he was checking IDs to make sure girls were underage. Also, I saw it now; they're deleting files because they forgot to redact some with Trump in it, which just draws more attention to them. So I don't know how they didn't catch that before the release. You know, I figured that's what they're looking out for. But the DOJ always acts like they're rushed and they didn't have enough time to release everything and censor the victims' names. But this has been going on for like 6 months at this point, and there were reports of them 6 months ago redacting names. And every time it comes down to actually releasing them, it's like, we need more time. The files aren't ready. They're not with us, or we're protecting the victims. And by victims, they probably mostly mean the clients. That's all they really seem to care about protecting. But now, since they didn't release all the files and they deleted some, people think Pam Bondi should be impeached. Even Trump fans, they hate her too, because she just insults everyone's intelligence. I mean, she's gone back and forth on this so many times. Like, first they did that binder stunt and she gave everybody already publicly available information and said it was the Epstein files and said they're the most transparent administration. So that completely backfired and everyone just got
Well,
pissed at
there's
her.
OPC
So then she's
right
like, all right,
there.
well, now a bunch of files just got to my desk. I just got a truckload of evidence. I have
were you
hundreds of
on
hours
this
of
island?
videos. It's all coming out. We're the most transparent
Was Ben
administration.
Thorpe on there?
Then soon after that, the DOJ announced they had nothing. And then they also said Epstein killed himself, and she lied about the cell footage. So every few months, whenever the Epstein stuff
Those
heats
two would
up,
be
they do this
jealous
whole
that they weren't
runaround
invited to
Twitter
the
and
island.
talk about how transparent they are, but they just need more time to protect the victims.
All files, with limited exceptions, to be released within 30 days. On Friday, the Justice Department released just a fraction of the overall Epstein files. Why didn't the Justice Department meet that Friday deadline?
Good morning. So it's very simple and very clear. The statute also requires us to protect victims. And so the reason why we are still reviewing documents and still continuing our process is simply that, to protect victims. So the same
Good
individuals
cover.
that are out there
Nice
complaining
try.
about the lack of documents that were produced on Friday are the same individuals who apparently don't want us to protect victims. So we're going through a very methodical process.
There's
with
pictures of
hundreds
like
lawyers
Chomsky with like
looking at
Steve Bannon and stuff, like two diametrically opposed people. There's no like, I don't know. I don't think there's any footage of him like doing anything nefarious, but it's weird that he was
Yeah, yeah. That was one person I was like kind of surprised. A lot of them you expect, but I don't know why. I was just like a little.
well, at least Michael Perenni, a guy that people accuse Chomsky of copying. He wasn't involved in that. So, you familiar with his work?
No, I'm not.
Michael Perenni, he's pretty good.
So they released the files. Nobody gets prosecuted, and now the entire country is gawking at pictures of victimhood. Yeah, like. Great play there. I mean, it's disgusting. It's like incomprehensibly sick. And this is what's happening at the upper levels of government. I believe it.
every single document and making sure that victims' names and any of the information from victims is protected and redacted, which is exactly what the Transparency Act expects. That's exactly what Attorney General Bondi expects.
So I don't think we'll ever get the full files, but now there's more pressure to release them than ever. And obviously, the more that comes out, the worse it looks, and the more people should be demanding for the release. Like, of course, the DOJ was hoping that the files that were released on Friday would be good enough for people and they'd shut up about it now. But it didn't work, and it never seems to work. You know, they've tried to get people to move on from this so many times already. It's not going away. And whenever they get caught, it's like, give us time. You know, we're in the process. We just need to protect the clients, victims. But people are running out of patience. I mean, I'm glad they released what they did, but it's just...
Farzan says every single Epstein accuser has been shown to be a liar or worse. Reporter Michael Tracy has been reporting on this.
Michael Tracy's pretty sus at times.
I mean, I don't know how that would even mess with all the photographic evidence. That's just sus in its own right. There's just so much. I don't know. Well, I don't know much about the individual victims' testimonies. Shown to be a liar or worse. Yeah, I don't know what to.
Nothing in the grand scheme of things. I mean, the Bill Clinton pictures look bad, but they're probably nothing compared to the redacted files about him. You know, I'm sure there's so much worse about him in the files. Like, I'm sure they just released the least damning evidence, and we're probably just hoping it would satisfy people with these pictures of celebrities. I mean, also there's a picture of Michael Jackson and Epstein in there.
Wait,
which I think
remember
was a
that?
new development, and of course it looked pretty creepy, but some people seem to think this is a red herring. Like, they put this in there so it would catch people's attention and they just focus on that. Because also the deputy press secretary tweeted out this picture of Bill Clinton, Michael Jackson, and Diana Ross and their kids, and they blocked out their kids' faces, so it makes you think they're victims. But this picture had already been publicly available on the internet, so I don't know why she's acting like this is a big bombshell in the files. Well, it seems like they might be trying to use this as a red herring, you know, because of Michael Jackson's controversy. Obviously, when you see this, you think the worst. So also some other celebrities that were in the files are David Blaine and David Copperfield, which David Copperfield
Magicians?
has a picture with Maxwell that looks pretty bad, you know, because most of these other pictures look like they're in a professional setting. And just because you've taken a picture with Epstein doesn't mean you're involved with him or you're doing anything wrong. But the pictures of David Copperfield and Bill Clinton probably look the worst. So a few other ones were Chris Tucker,
Dude,
Mick Jagger,
remember that
and
rumor?
Kevin Spacey, which Kevin Spacey is our...
That rumor that, like, because Epstein was referring to Bubba, they thought it was referring to Clinton about Trump blowing Bubba. What if that was Trump's face blurred out in that hot tub? The body, I mean, it was a joke. The body looks like it might be too small to be Trump's, but what if that was the infamous blowjob video?
I felt he put the president at risk on that trip to South Africa because there were these young girls. And we were like, what? Who is this guy? So I will say this. There were young girls on those flights. There were young girls on those flights, yeah.
It also doesn't help that a lot of these people already don't have the best reputation, and the entertainment industry is known for supporting pedophiles and abusers, like Roman Polanski, who was convicted of drugging and raping a 13-year-old. But even after that, everyone still supported him and worked with him, and he won an Oscar. Then also Harvey Weinstein, you know, everybody loved him. And I think they had a good idea of what he was doing. But then once it came out, then they're all like, oh, this is terrible. And he also was friends with Epstein, and his company was mentioned in the recent files release. So it seems like in the entertainment industry and in politics, this stuff is really prevalent. Because also it's much easier to get away with when you have power. Like, nobody seemed to care about Epstein, Weinstein, or Polanski until they had to. I mean, people would
That
openly
neck
make
is
jokes
fucking
about this
bulbous
stuff.
as hell.
People would defend Polanski and get mad that anybody would even bring up the fact that he raped a 13-year-old. Like, one of the craziest things that shows how depraved and morally corrupt these people are is when Quentin Tarantino defended him on the Howard Stern show sometime in the early 2000s. And this will occasionally resurface from time to time. And just recently it did because Quentin Tarantino started some drama with Paul Dano and everybody took Paul's side. And then they pulled up this clip because this is wild.
More than Europe, more than China? With a 13-year-old girl and you're a grown man, you know that that's wrong because she has
giving her booze and pills.
I'm not. Look, she was down with it.
Oh, you're crazy.
And she's talked about it. She's talked about it.
I believe it's rape.
I don't believe this, right? I mean, not at 13. Not for these 13-year-old party girls out there.
Oh my
Really?
13-year-old
party girls.
girls. Oh my god. Wait, is this Tarantino saying that?
What is
Yeah.
going on with our heads? Seriously, what is going on with it? What is wrong with our heads?
That.
And obviously, if somebody said this nowadays, they'd be canceled in a second. You know, their career would be completely over.
hell.
But at the time in Hollywood, I don't think anybody even cared. And they probably liked it that he was sticking up for Roman because everyone acted like Roman was the victim in the situation. So this shit was basically normalized in Hollywood and in politics. But surprisingly, I don't think Tarantino is directly connected to Epstein at all, even though he was best friends with Harvey Weinstein and Weinstein produced all of his movies and he's connected to Epstein. But it seems like a lot of this stuff was out in the open. Nobody really cared about, though, until the Me Too movement. You know, then Harvey Weinstein got taken down, then people stopped working with Polanski, and then Quentin Tarantino had to apologize for this clip, and Epstein got busted. But up until then, it seemed like you could get away with anything if you had influence and power. Like the way Quentin Tarantino's talking about this, he makes it sound like it's no big deal, like it's just a normal thing. You know, like everybody knows how these 13-year-old party girls are. So around this time in Hollywood and politics, I'm sure there's a lot of this going on, and I'm sure there still is. But it used to be obviously really easy to get away with. You know, Epstein had been doing this for decades. And then even when shit hit the fan, a lot of people around him acted like he was being treated unfairly, like he was being canceled. There's this letter in the files that he got from someone who's like, I hate that you got into this mess with the girls. You know, they knew what they're doing. You didn't put a gun to their head. But you got to watch it. You know, when you're a rich, famous man, you're a target in this world. So the amount of people that just ignored what he's doing and even defended his behavior is wild. But let me know what you guys think about it. And make sure you check out my Patreon. There are over 160 exclusive videos on there. And actually, the first one I posted was about that Quentin Tarantino clip and just how creepy and depraved Hollywood is. So if you want to hear more about that, or if you want to hear about how recently Tucker Carlson was exposed by Theo Von by accident, it was hilarious. Theo didn't even know what he's doing. He accidentally exposed him. And that was a big video. People really liked it. So if you enjoy the channel and you want extra content, definitely check out the Patreon.